Welcome to my tutorial on meltdowns. I'm going to show you two different methods for learning this, and I hope one of them works for you. So for the first method, I want you to get familiar with the individual hand movements. We'll be spinning counterclockwise with both hands. First, with your right hand, practice doing a hip reel on the opposite side of your body. Next, starting at your right hip, tucking your hand under, you're going to bring the poi behind you and over to your left hip to do a single beat on that side. Your poi does not do a beat as it's traveling over to your left hip because the poi head is up, but it does one beat at your left hip and then one beat as it's traveling back behind your body to your right hip. The tucking movement that you have to do with your hand should be familiar if you're familiar with tuck turns. It's the same movement with your hand flipping over. You can pretend that you're doing a tuck turn, but instead bring the poi behind you to the other side of your body. Now, still with your right hand, practice switching between the hip reel with your hand in front of you and the hip reel with your hand behind you. For your left hand, first practice doing the hip reel on the right side of your body. Now, practice bringing your left hand behind you to do a beat at the right hip. Your left hand will be tracing a similar path to what your right hand is doing, from the non-native hip in the front to the non-native hip in the back. But it will feel a little bit different because as your left hand goes to the back, the poi does a beat as you travel over to your right hip, but it does not do a beat as you travel back. Now that we've warmed up those individual movements, we're going to do some two-hand drills. You're going to start out in basic hip reels, split time, same direction. For the first one, your right hand is going to come behind you and your left hand is going to go in front of you. I want you to stay in this position and do reels back and forth. Then return to your home base of basic hip reels. Now you're going to do the same thing, only you're going to bring your left hand behind you and your right hand in front of you. Then return to home base. It helps to rock your hips with this motion. Now practice switching back and forth from having your left hand go behind you to having your right hand go behind you. As you're practicing, you can still do a couple of hip reels in between at home base. As you get more comfortable doing this, you can decrease the number of beats you're doing at home base so that eventually, when you come to the front with either hand, it goes immediately to the opposite hip. Don't forget to turn your hips with the movement. And that is the whole move. You're doing a meltdown. A second method of learning the meltdown may feel similar to how some people learned crossers. Instead of starting the movement in wall plane, we're going to start in wheel plane. You'll be facing your left. Both poi are spinning in split time forwards with your right hand crossed in front of you and your left hand behind you. Unwind and turn to your right so that your poi are spinning reverse split time at your hips. Now cross your right hand behind you and your left hand in front. Now uncross and turn back to your left. Same as we did with the first method, just try to slowly eliminate how many hip reels you're doing. Eventually you can stop turning your body so much so that your poi remain in wall plane relative to you. I hope you found this tutorial helpful. Good luck!